Hi, Empress Justice here, and welcome to the Anuradha Blue Moon reading for the 31st of May 2026. Now, before I begin the reading, I just have to let you know a couple of things. First thing is I'm going to be moving, and the second thing is that there was an attempt on my life on Sunday, the 24th of March 2026 at 5:13 a.m. approximately. Now, I'm going to work backwards. With regards to the attempt on my life on Sunday, the 24th of March 2026, it coincided with an important incident that involved a nationwide story. And I have proof of the attack right here. This is the entry wound where the directed energy weapon hit. I was hit in the right breast, but I was also hit in the left one and in the heart. So the entry wound was here, and it ended up in my heart right here, where not only did I receive directed energy weapon attacks and microwave weapon attacks, I also received shocks around the heart. So that was an attempt to murder me. That was an attempt to kill me. So I've basically been bed rotting to recover from that. And also the second thing is I'm going to be moving. Now, the only power I have in the situation as a targeted individual is to be intentionally homeless and leave myself without possessions. But there have been measures in place to prevent that in particular happening for me. One of the measures is to have me sectioned should that happen. So I've been trying to avoid intentional homelessness, to avoid sectioning, not because I believe it will make my case any less strong. I've been sectioned before and that's proven not to be the case. I've been sectioned, which if anything has made my case against gang stalking even stronger somehow. So I'm not worried about that. I'm not even worried about the medications. It's just that I'm very, very tired of having my agency taken from me. So I'm avoiding intentional homelessness, and because I've been basically coerced into avoiding that, now the gang stalkers want to move me to wherever they want to move me to. They want to keep me wherever they want to keep me so that they can continue to torture me to death, which is basically what gang stalking is. And what gang stalking is essentially is the slow killing of a target over the course of their life through social isolation, directed energy weaponry, electromagnetic weaponry, and crowd control technology. So that's what I'm going through at the moment. It's basically a bid to kill you through your nervous system, so that there can be an excuse used that you died of natural causes when really you were murdered. So that's what I'm going through. That's what's happening to me right now. Which is why, I've had consistency issues with regards to reading. Sometimes they're late, sometimes they're on time. And it's also why, this Empress Justice Tarot and Empress Justice Astrology has been so important. When I created this, I started doing tarot readings before Real Justice or Empress Justice. I started doing tarot readings on Facebook as a TI because I wanted a way for TIs to have some semblance of normality. And there are those of us who like tarot cards and astrology. So I thought, give gang stalking victims a sense of normality whilst at the same time validating their experiences. So that is the seed that gave birth to Empress Justice Tarot and Empress Justice Astrology. And it's been a wild ride since then, it's been a really wild ride since then. It's been rewarding and fulfilling, but it's basically been my semblance of normality at a time where I'm literally being slow killed and tortured to death through social isolation and unlawful experimentation. So that's the reason why I've been so inconsistent with my readings, but I keep doing them because it's a life raft, and not just for me, but for any targeted individual who isn't Christian, who enjoys spirituality and who wants to hear spirituality from a place that will truly validate them and will truly keep them grounded, rather than just either telling them that, oh, your enemies are going to pay for what they've done, or just telling them, you know, there's no hope, everything's lost. Like, I try to stay on the middle ground to give targeted individuals a way to accept the pain that they're going through, but in a way that empowers them and allows them to push through. So that's why I started this channel, and that is what I will continue to do. That will always be the foundation of what Empress Justice Tarot and Empress Justice Astrology does, to essentially help trafficking and abuse victims feel normal. Not feeling like victims, and not feeling like victims, and not feeling like this false hope that will inevitably get their hearts broken. I'm here to offer the middle path. And now, let's get on with the reading, shall we? Now, got my little blue scarf on because it's the blue moon for Anuradha, okay? Now, it takes place, like I said before, on the 31st of May, not March, May. On the 31st of May, 2026. Sorry, I just got to give this a second. Again, it's always when I know I'm filming. But anyway, let's go. Anuradha Blue Moon, 31st of May, 2026. At 9:45 a.m. British summertime, okay? Now, with that comes Revati Ascendant. No, what am I talking about? It's Pusha Ascendant. I'm so sorry. It's Pusha Ascendant in Cancer, Rohini Sun in Taurus, Revati Midheaven in Pisces, and Margashirsh Mercury in Gemini. Now, Anuradha full moon is going to be in Scorpio, and the moon is in 4 in Scorpio. So what's going to happen during this time is that what we may find is that we are going to be very, very much focused on momentum when it comes to getting what we want. And not only are we going to be focused on momentum and we're going to be very intense with what we do, we're also going to want to expand a lot of like outward energy on achievement, on accomplishment, on trying to gain favor with other people, and not even just that, being devoted to the people that we love. So there's going to be a lot of outward pouring of energy during this lunar period of devotion, but more than that, of accomplishment, of organization, of vigilance. So we're going to be very watchful. We're going to be very, very like, not career-minded necessarily, but very purpose-minded. And we're also going to be very much focused on trying to show as much devotion as possible to other people, right? Because again, Anuradha is learning about true love and true passion. It hasn't mastered it yet. So that is where our energies are going to go. They're going to be focused on our own personal achievement, and then going into environments that are not necessarily our own, or reaching out to people that are not necessarily like us and showing devotion, showing congeniality, which is a really wonderful thing, right? It's a wonderful thing for us to want to be selfless with other people and show other people that love and that support, especially when they're not automatically like us. But this is the thing. This is where Rohini has to step in and remind us we cannot do this on empty. So Rohini Sun is here to remind us we need to actually fill our own cups and nourish ourselves and come into ourselves and take care of ourselves, not physically, but emotionally, because Rohini has mastered the art of emotional nourishment. And Rohini understands that emotional nourishment is not necessarily about like healthiness, but it's about seeing the divinity in everything around you and utilizing it to its maximum potential. That's what emotional nourishment is about. It's also about creativity, not for the sake of being excellent, but for the sake of creativity, for its own sake. So we're being encouraged during this full moon in Anuradha towards intensity, towards building wealth through momentum, towards accomplishment, towards being the very best in our own worlds, and then going into another person's world and showing devotion, showing selflessness. We're being encouraged towards that. But in order for us to balance ourselves out, we have to follow the lead of the sun. We have to nourish ourselves emotionally. We have to make room for play, make room for enjoyment, make room for seeing the divinity in everything around us in a positive way. Okay? So that is what we are encouraged to do. That's what we're encouraged to do. We're encouraged to nourish ourselves emotionally and to attract that nourishment of emotional devotion to ourselves. That's what we're encouraged to do. Okay. Now, I've got the astrological chart up here. I've written it in the notes as well, but I've got the chart up just in case, because you know me, I've got to double check. So, yes, we have lunar transits to talk about. But before I get into the lunar transits, I want to talk about the lunar path number. Now, the lunar path number is number 1. So on top of Anuradha being the full moon, our energy is going to be on number 1. Not necessarily in a selfish sense, though. What it's going to be about is us showing accountability, is us embodying Anuradha qualities without being asked. Okay, so we will take it upon ourselves to embody that Anuradha, that selfless devotion to other worlds besides our own, and that accomplishment within our own worlds. We are going to sort of take it upon ourselves to show that initiative. It's not about selfishness, it's about initiative. We're going to demonstrate our love for other people without being asked, without being told to do it. And also with that number 1 number, we're going to be focused on trying as much as possible to change the way things are done, to change the world around us. But because our focus is going to be on gaining wealth and prosperity, on becoming successful within our own worlds, and through being cordial and considerate within other people's worlds, again, it's not going to be a selfish number 1 energy. It's going to be a more benevolent, a more, it's going to be authoritative, but it's going to be a more benevolent number 1 energy and not a selfish one, because there's balance there. Anuradha is a Saturn dominant sign, and number 1 is a solar number. So there is going to be some balance here. There is going to be some balance here. There is going to be some, love and devotion shown. It's just going to be in balance. It's not going to be out of balance. Okay. So what we are being asked to do in order to balance out this lunar path number is to open ourselves up to more new experiences. Rohini Sun loves that stuff anyway. They love opening themselves up to new experiences. So that's what we're encouraged to do. Open ourselves up to new experiences, physically travel, get to know new people, get to know new places, get to know different ways of life. Okay. So, because number 5, which is the balancing number for number 1, is about opening ourselves up to new experiences. Okay, it's about opening ourselves up to new environments, new ways of doing things. And also, it's about truth as well. That's the thing that nobody talks about. Anuradha tends to be quite blunt, which is like both a blessing and a curse for that nakshatra. But if we are going to take anything away from Anuradha full moon, it is the bluntness. It is the honesty. We are encouraged to be honest with ourselves about what we truly want, because the whole purpose of adaptability, the adaptability of the balancing number 5, the whole point of that is that we have an internal compass that we're leading ourselves by. And if we have that internal compass of deep inner truth, of knowing exactly what we want to do with our lives and how we want to do it, we become more adaptable towards the journey in getting there. So self-truth is going to be incredibly crucial. And once again, it falls right in line with Anuradha Saturn dominance. Blue is not just about the blue moon, it's also about Saturn. Saturn is black and blue. Blue, do you understand? Honesty, the throat chakra, speaking your mind. Number 5 is also about communication, because it's not just associated with Mars, which is about physical expression. Again, traveling to different places, doing different things, meeting different people. It's not just about physical expression and communicating what you want through your actions. It's also about communicating that through your words. So honesty, deep truth, divine will. When you are honest about who you are and what you're trying to accomplish, you are going to be more adaptable to the journey. And considering where these astrological placements are, that's going to be crucial. Okay, now let's get to the lunar. Let's get to the lunar transits, okay? So we've got the opposition to the sun. Got the opposition to the sun. Anuradha, Rohini, both wives. We've got wife energy here. If I were to make like a Yoruba comparison here, it would be like Rohini would be Oshun and Anuradha would be Oba, right? It would be the wife, the devotional wife. Anuradha is the devotional wife. Rohini is the favorite wife. So it's about wifely energy. And what that means is feminine energy in this particular case, meaning passive energy. Now, a lot of people get passive energy twisted and think that it's about serving people. You see, Anuradha makes that mistake, thinking that femininity is about simply controlling yourself and serving others. But Roro knows the truth. It's not about that. It's about fully making the most of what's in front of you. That's what true femininity is about. It's about making the most of what's in front of you. It's about being well prepared for eventualities. Well, that's an Anuradha thing again, but preparedness is a part of passive energy, right? It's about knowing, like, it's about seeing the deeper hidden aspects of other people and being prepared for that. That's what passivity is. It's preparedness. It's not just receiving, it's also maximizing what you receive, and it's also being prepared for what you might receive next or what you want to receive. You see, Rohini knows the truth, because Rohini is like, why am I going to waste my time preparing for anything if I'm not going to get what I want? That's what happens when a Rohini properly uses their energy. They're like, okay, I'm going to prepare for this. I'm going to make plans and da-da-da-da-da, all the rest of it, but I'm going to get what I want out of it. That's what Shatabisha does, because Rahu is an exalt in Rohini. And that's what Rohini does. In fact, Rahu, just say Rahu. That's what Rahu does, and that's what Rohini does. They prepare to receive what they want, which is crucial. Okay, so that's what we're being asked to do. We're being asked to act as if we are the favorites, as if we are God's favorites. That's what we're being asked to do. We're being asked to behave as if we are God's favorites rather than just serving God. Because the truth about God is that God is not male or female. God is literally the empty space that exists within each cell. That's what God is. God is a creative force. It is not a character. And if we're going to serve God, we're just going to be serving ourselves anyway, but we're going to be serving the parts of ourselves that are limited, not the parts of ourselves that give, not the parts of ourselves that are generous, not the parts of ourselves that are warm and that love us. So we need to prepare to be the kind of, we need to prepare our worlds and prepare our environments to receive the goodness in life that we want. We have to prepare ourselves for that. Okay, that's what passive energy is. It's preparation and, maximizing what you've been given, and also welcoming emotional nourishment, like accepting things that emotionally nourish you rather than just look good, right? So yeah, so that was the sun opposite the moon. So wifely energy, like passive energy, we talked about that. And then we've got the trine with Revati Saturn and Uttara Bhadrapada Neptune. Now, this is really good because with the moon trining Revati, there is a distinct acceptance of death and rebirth here. There's an acceptance of age. There's an acceptance of finality. right, that might not have been there when Saturn was in Uttara Bhadrapada. There's an acceptance of the shadow. Only because Saturn is there, that acceptance doesn't result in us self-sabotaging or provoking one another. Instead, it results in us looking inward. So the moon trining Saturn, not only does that transit alone encourage reflection and encourage internal work, but it also encourages us to accept ourselves, accept the limitations of who we are, and do it in a healthy way, right? With the Uttara Bhadrapada Neptune, intuition on lock, on point. It feels like we are going to be more connected with what our spirit is trying to tell us. We're going to be more connected with what our spirit is trying to tell us. We're going to be more connected with how to use our kindness and courage to get the very best out of life, out of what we want. It feels like we are going to understand the symbology of our brain a little bit more clearly. So our dreams are going to make a lot more sense to us than they normally would. And divination, it's a good time for divination as well. Because again, the divination will operate from a place of humility rather than a place of, want or desire. We're more likely to be open to the truth. It's just gonna come like in a more unusual sense, because with Uttara Bhadrapada, it's about finding the preciousness within everything, the jewel within everything. It's just gonna happen in a way that's kind of unusual. But again, because it's Neptune, it happens through our dreams. We get the messages of Uttara Bhadrapada. We start to understand the preciousness of our lives at its root through our dreams and through our intuitive landscape, right? So yeah, our intuition is going to be more on point. We're going to understand things more clearly. The magic around us is going to be more evident, just not in the ways that we expect. Expect manifestations. If some of you have been doing manifestation work, expect your manifestations to come true, just not in the way that you expected it to. It's still going to be good though. Especially for those who have been manifesting positive things. Okay. This is where it gets a little bit tricky, because we've got the moon in opposition to Uranus, which is in Kritika, Taurus. Now, Kritika, Taurus is mastered in restraint, That's why Kritika is so good at cutting things out, because Kritika is about emotion, is about restraint. It's about restraining itself and restraining the world around it to get the very best out of it. That's what Kritika does. That's what Kritika is very good at doing. And then we've got it like with Anuradha. So Anuradha and Kritika are both about restraint and both about internal restrictions and internal discipline. Only in this particular case, internal discipline and internal restrictions and internal criticism may lead to either unwelcome changes, or it might lead us to be unprepared for the changes that are coming. Because with the moon and Uranus, there are shocking changes to come, really big shocking changes. And if we become too focused on inner restraint and inner limitation rather than inner nourishment, those changes are going to be a lot harder to deal with. So that's what we need to be aware of. There's a sextile to Shravana Pluto. Now, Pluto is still in the early degrees. It's still in the early degrees of Shravana, so we're in good territory here, okay? With Anuradha and Shravana, they are connected through wanting to get ahead through congenial means. That, they want to be polite. They want to be devoted to other people, like kind to other people. But whereas Anuradha genuinely means it, Shravana is strategic. They do it as a means to an end, right? So Anuradha and Shravana are both united in their desires to be cordial. So secrets will be revealed, bigger secrets will be revealed, but in the face of that, we're going to want to keep as much peace as we can collectively. There are going to be big secrets that are going to come out, big secrets that are going to surface. But because of the nature of the secrets, with that sextile, instead of us wanting to confront each other in more aggressive ways, we're going to try to find ways to be conciliatory, to actually get along with each other and to focus more on fulfilling our own purpose rather than demanding other people to be what we want them to be. Okay? And again, it's usually a good thing, but if there's too much emphasis on self-restriction, we're not going to be prepared for what's ahead, right? Then we've got the moon trining ascendant, which is not surprising. Anuradha and Pusha are both Saturn dominant nakshatras. You know what I mean? That's where they're connected through Saturn. They're connected through that internal restraint. So it seems like the more restricted that, this is where the temptation lies now, the temptation in self-restriction. We're going to want to restrict ourselves due to that Saturnian influence. That is where we are going to feel most comfortable. So we might have a little bit of an uphill battle when it comes to handling change, because that change ultimately is supposed to emotionally nourish us. Do you understand what I mean? So we might have a problem with the changes that are ahead of us because our natural instinct might be towards restraint. But the saving grace is in the ascendant, Pusha ascendant, because Pusha wants comfort. Anuradha is not focused on that. Anuradha can exist in comfort. Anuradha is not opposed to it, but that's not Anuradha's main priority. Anuradha's main priority is devotion. So Pusha comes along now and Pusha's like, okay, cool. You want some restraint, but how about we do it this way? So Pusha can be the balancing influence between Rohini and Anuradha, because Pusha's like, okay, that's cool, but we shouldn't deny ourselves physical comfort either. So Rohini-san wants us to have emotional nourishment, and here Pusha is wanting us to have abundance. So when we are connected with our Pusha ascendant, we are already halfway towards the sun's influence here, which is a really, really good sign. We just want to take that a little bit further and say, okay, we're physically comfortable. Luxuries are coming in. We're attracting luxury. We're attracting comforts. Or we want to be prosperous and we want to be materially comfortable. How do we go one step further and ensure that those physical comforts emotionally nourish us too? That's what we want to focus on. So, yeah, that's the moon trining the ascendant. Okay, so I'm going to go through the rest of these quite quickly. So we've got the ascendant squared Barony Mars, trining Saturn and Nep, and in opposition to Pluto. Okay, so what that essentially means is that we are going to have this sort of friction that is ironically going to make us more active and make us more grounded, because Barony in Mars is actually a very grounding placement. So we are going to be more grounded and we are going to be a lot more active, but it's going to be a tense situation because we've got these big changes coming up and we've obviously got activity to navigate here. It feels like when we try to, this is one of the reasons why we might be tempted to focus on our own inner restriction, because when we try to move towards the changes, when we become more physically active, combined with the changes that are about to come, there might be obstacles in the way of the changes we're trying to make for ourselves or the changes that we're trying to accept, right? There may be obstacles in the way. And that can kind of put a scupper in the works with regards to finding that emotional nourishment. It's still worth pursuing, but there might be some obstacles in the way when it comes to our ascendant. Yeah, so that's something that we have to watch out for. Again, emotional nourishment is crucial. There are going to be obstacles in the way of that, but make sure you push through. Make sure you show that determination. With the sun, we've got the sextile to Saturn and Neptune and the ascendant. Great sign already. We've got a conjunction to Critica Uranus, of course, and we've got a trine to Shravana Pluto. So again, the sun, emotional nourishment, that is where the source of our changes lie. Number, this is where it comes back to balancing out the lunar path number, right? The sun is our emotional nourishment, is what is creating the change. It's our emotional nourishment that is going to be creating the change. As long as you turn away from emotional nourishment, you will be unprepared for the changes. Like I said, right? Because with that sextile to Saturn and Neptune and the ascendant, hold on a minute. You see, this is why I have the chart up. Yeah, sextile, because Rohini's in Taurus, isn't it? So yeah, with that sextile to Saturn, Neptune, and the ascendant, there's a deep connection with our own intuition and our own psyche here, and a deep connection with ourselves. Emotional nourishment is the thing that connects all of these things together. It seems like our inner restraint and our focus on ambition and our focus on our purpose is what is most important here. It seems like it, but again, emotional nourishment is what is fueling the change. When the more you are connected with what emotionally nourishes you, the greater the ability to adapt to change. Like I've been saying before, and you know, with these secrets coming out, again, sun and moon are in very harmonious positions to Pluto. So again, deep-seated secrets coming out. Instead of fostering resentment, fosters love, fosters kindness. So that on top of you focusing on your emotional nourishment, that is going to, yeah, that's really going to help you. That's really going to help you. Okay. And then we've got the midheaven squared Purnavasu. I was going to say Venus. we got the midheaven, Revati midheaven squared Purnavasu, Venus and Jupiter, and conjunct Saturn, right? So in our immediate futures, again, there's that shadow work that is being done with many of us, but the shadow work is being done with compassion. That, you know, again, Saturn in Revati is a very, very good placement because it allows us to challenge ourselves without self-sabotaging, without trying to challenge other people in order to do it. We just come inwards. It's a beautiful placement. And then, yeah, this is where it's a problem. That squared with Venus and Jupiter, it means that, oh, what I'm getting is that we're going to be revisiting past situations, but with more abundance and with more blessings. But that's why the changes that are about to come might come with some difficulties, because with the Venus and Jupiter, it's about abundance, right? Abundance of beauty and abundance of love and abundance of broad intelligence. So all of these things are going to come about. What's going to cause problems with our ability to navigate changes is the abundance, is the physical abundance. That's why you're being asked to focus on emotional abundance, but the physical abundance does come into that. So we will have great blessings that come from the repeating of a cycle. The repetition of a cycle, it doesn't just come with, you know, the same thing over, but it's like you receive more blessings coming in when that cycle repeats. But you have to, it's like you have to find ways to make room for those blessings. You have to make room for them, which is a little bit more difficult. And what I find interesting is Revati and Purnavasu's dichotomy here, because Revati is all about incorporating your inner shadow, right? But Purnavasu is all about finding your inner light. And when those two come together, you know, it's all about finding your inner qualities. And when it's Revati, midheaven, and Purnavasu, it's about finding the inner, both dark and light, which really gets interesting. The saving grace of that, though, is that because there's Saturn conjunct the midheaven, our ability to show our inner light and our inner darkness, it might work out. The key is to know when to balance them. It's about timing more than what you reveal. It's about when you reveal it. Okay, so this is quite good. I'm not gonna lie. But then we've got the Margashirsha squared with Uttara Bhadrapada Neptune. So Mercury squared Neptune. There will be some conflict between our logic and our intuition here. Don't get me wrong, when they're used in tandem, they are going to become extremely powerful, right? They become extremely powerful. But I feel like there will be, it's weird because, yeah, your rational mind will want to explain things, but it's like Neptune, in order to understand Neptune, you have to understand that it is basically, it operates not in a backwards way, but in an indirect way. Neptune doesn't lie. A lot of people say that Neptune lies. And, you know, Neptune is the planet of illusion. But what we have to understand about illusion is that illusion is a form of interactive learning that we are given to help us understand the world in real life. We understand the world in real life through symbolism in fiction. That is Neptune. Neptune is helping us understand the real world. It's just doing it in a way that's indirect, that allows us to interact and learn. That is the whole purpose of illusion. And with Mercury squared that, our logical mind might resist it, especially in Margashirsha, in a Mars dominant nakshatra that is all about the natural world. Saturn dominant nakshatras like Uttara Bhadrapada can be part of the natural world too, but Uttara Bhadrapada is more interested in transforming the natural world. Margashirsha is more interested in drawing from the natural world. So the natural world is what connects Uttara Bhadrapada and Margashirsha. But in order to heal that square between Mercury and Neptune, between, you know, logical mind and imagination, the natural world, our own natures, the nature of everything has to take center stage. And whether to draw from nature or transform it, again, it depends on the timing. And it depends on our relationship to the natural thing that we are observing. So there is going to be this little bit of a tussle with our Mercury, with our logical mind and our imagination here. There's going to be a little bit of a tussle. So overall, what are we getting here? What we're getting here is that the blue moon is a magical time of fellowship and kindness and devotion. And it is also going to be a time where we put our best foot forward, not just in terms of, you know, showing devotion to others, but in terms of our talents, in terms of our capabilities, in terms of what we're able to do. But we are being called to focus on Pusha to a lesser extent, and Rohini. We're being asked to focus on our abundance, and especially the parts of our abundance that are most emotionally nourishing. That is what we are being asked to do. And I know it seems difficult, but that's what we're being asked to do, okay? So that's it for my beautiful people. I don't know when I'm going to come with the 12 zodiac signs because I've got them written down. But please show me grace, bear with me, give me time. It's been a rough few days. It's been a rough 20 years. Give me some grace. That's all I ask. Thank you. And I will see you in the next reading. Peace and blessings. Bye-bye, my darlings.